Inter slip up in the race for the Scudetto, and Bayern's squad are dropping like flies, but they just keep on winning.
Bad day for home teams in La Liga as none of them got a win, and Southampton make Premier League history. All of this and more on this episode 57 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Snooze, kick us off.
Let's dig in. Yes, it is a great time to be here, and welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and we're here with the full fam. Well, actually, we're not here with the full fam. We do have our boy Danny P on the ones and twos, and of course, you know who we're all waiting for, my boy Hype Man Vic. What you sipping on, dog?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is fresh off the presses. This bottle released in March. It's April. This is the new Mijenta. Actually, what is it called? Symphony Series #2. This is Danny P in the back. The number 1 Mijenta limited edition that they had. Couldn't stop drinking this. So this is a reposado, and it's really, really good. It smells like coconut and white chocolate. I haven't had a drink yet. I wanted to do it on here, so let me do that real quick. And while I do this, go ahead and subscribe. This is going to take a second anyway. More than enough time for you to do that, and let's see.
Do it. Just do it.
Holy, that is good. That is like
okay.
I'm about to try it. That's really.
I like
good.
Me some tequilas. I remember one time we're downtown and I took a shot and I went too far, like too fast, and it hit the back of my throat. It made me choke, and I just spit it all over the bar. I don't know why that came to mind. I was just hoping that didn't happen to you right there. I was like just praying inside, like, come on, don't do it.
I gotta tell you, this like finish, like after you swallow and everything like that, it's literally like white chocolate, like Easter candy white chocolate.
Well, I like the finish and the swallow, so we have a lot to cover today. We've got a full lineup of our European reach around wrap up, and we also got some UEFA competitions that are back in style. Oh man, there's going to be some great times across all. What is it? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Like there's so much that you should be watching and shouldn't be working. And we'll talk about it all here in just a moment. But first, we have to go boots on the ground for the Austin FC Minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, this last match was a 0-0 draw. We don't really talk about those, and I'll keep this like probably under a minute. It was very underwhelming, and I think the only good thing we had about it is that Stuver saved us again. He always saves us. He always bails us out. He had a great save at the 93rd minute that kept them off the board, and that was basically it.
Ozuni's almost badass goal was amazing too.
That was pretty
like where he hit the post or whatever.
Yeah,
he basically just said, "All right, nobody's gonna do anything. Let me do it." And then he didn't do it, but he got close.
Yeah, so. he keeps whiffing over there. He's like near the 6-yard box and he keeps whiffing. But I don't know. Not much news otherwise. There's no like trade rumors or anything like that right now. So that's it. Austin FC Minute. Okay. About a minute.
I know. Look at us. Okay. Well. With that said, we're gonna end with the UEFA competitions, the look ahead, and we'll start with the recaps from our leagues. And I think we'll start in Italy.
Let's do it then. To Serie A.
And I was saying it on our preview, but this was probably my favorite week of Serie A so far this season. We had a lot going on at the top and the bottom of the table. And so let's break it all down. On Friday, it got kicked off with Genoa getting a 1-0 win over Udinese. And it's a great result for them because Udinese have now lost 3 in a row, but they lost 3 in a row, not because. But it really just seems like yesterday, though, that Udinese were on a great run of form. And we were all talking about, well, not all, but we were just talking about how maybe they can kind of sneak up towards those European places. And no, it's definitely not happening. They have fallen off completely. Saturday, Monza fall at home to Como 3-1, and this result stops Como's streak of 4 games without a win. If we didn't already know, we definitely know now that Monza will be going down at the end of the season. I don't think mathematically, technically, but we can tell. Parma battle back to get two second-half goals to split the points in a 2-2 draw with Inter, and it's 2 points drop for Inter, and now Napoli have a way back to the table, top of the table. But we know now that they didn't take that chance. We'll talk about that here in a second. Parma have now drawn 4 straight, but this draw felt different. This one felt like a run is coming because Parma actually played Inter very well, and I'm interested to see how they end the season. Milan come back from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 with our Fiorentina. Moise Ken gets a goal after some good link-up play, and Pulisic and Abraham played a good one, too, for the Milan first goal. Overall, very entertaining match, but it really didn't do anything as a result for either team, and that sucks for them. On Sunday, Lecce get a 1-1 draw with Venezia at home, and Venezia had held some of the best teams in the Serie A to a draw, but Lecce is not one of those teams, and that comes in. They came in on 4 straight losses, so this was Venezia's best chance at getting 3 points, and that's now gone. The coolest part of the whole match, though, is that after Venezia's goal, they panned to the traveling fans, and there was a sign of Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle. I don't know what the heck it said. It was in Italian, but hey, that was pretty cool to see. Empoli and Cagliari ends 0-0, and I said in the preview that Cagliari were cool with the point, so Empoli would need to push for 3 points here, and they didn't, so they might be going down because of it. Torino and Verona split the points in a 1-1 draw, and the biggest storyline out of this match is the fact that Verona's goal came by virtue. Is that how you say that? Came by virtue of a Milinkovic savage mistake, and it was a hell of a mistake. He looked dumb. It was very bad. Go check it out. Atalanta are frustrated at home by Lazio as they lose 1-0. Our Lazio were solid on the night, but towards the end of the match, it felt like Atalanta had 90% possession and they were destined to score, but it just never happened. It never came, and they lose back-to-back matches and are 10 points off Inter at the top of the table now. Roma's run of 7 straight wins in Serie A comes to an end against Juve, and this one surprised me as Roma had all the momentum in the world. They were at home. Juve has a new coach, and none of that mattered on the day. Juve looked like the better team for a bulk of the match, in my opinion, and I think the new manager bump is still going on. It's still happening over there. And then today, Monday, Napoli and Bologna split the points in a 1-1 draw. And Vic, tell us where that leaves us with the table after match day 31.
31. Yes. Well, taking a look at the table, and again, bad weekend if you're into winning and losing, because it was nothing but just like 7 draws that day. That's pretty crazy.
Look at that table. Gray everywhere.
Yeah, gray everywhere on the right there. But Inter Milan still hold the number 1 spot. They have 68 points coming off a draw. Napoli behind them with 65 points in the number 2 spot, also coming off a draw because that's all that happened this weekend. Atalanta did drop all 3 points. They got a loss this past weekend, as Snooze pointed out earlier. They have 58 points in the number 3 spot. And then Bologna have 57 points, rounding out our top 4. Tickling our top 4 is our Juventus. I kind of say our just because my coworker is a Juventus fan, so sure enough. They're in the number 5 spot with 56 points, and then 1 point behind them is our Lazio, and we can say our Lazio because that's our old stamping grounds with 55 points in the number 6 spot. If we take a look at the bottom of the table, Empoli are in the 18th spot. They would be the first team relegated if the season ended today. They have 24 points, followed by Venezia, who keep their badge and still keep their relegation status. They have 21 points, both of them getting draws this past weekend. But then Monza doing the best they can to stay at the bottom with in the 20th spot with 15 points. They have not scored 20 points yet. Still holding up the rest of the table. Solid foundation, and we'll see what they can do in the next league after this. This season. Snooze, anything you want to call out about the table while we still got it up? Or
I think the only thing I'll say is before we went into this match day, I was very excited to see where the teams ended up. If who's winning, who's going up, who's going down, and they all drew essentially. Yeah. So nothing changed, and it just kind of everything stayed at status quo. So that was kind of underwhelming. But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and I think with most of the draws, there weren't anything outstanding to call out, but what else did you see from this past weekend?
Yeah, this weekend, the thing that I will say about these matches is that some of the big heads, like the top of the table, is very competitive, and it kind of showed. The one that surprised me the most, though, was the one team that was at the top and lost, Atalanta. They lose at home to Lazio, like we were just saying, and that win is massive for Lazio's European hopes. They really needed to gain points, and they gained 2 points on everybody above them, which was insane. But this is crazy because Atalanta, they have where they were, we thought they were going to be a dark horse for that Scudetto, and now they're, like I said, they're 10 points back from the top, and I don't see them getting there. Obviously, they're going to get into the champ. Well, I don't say obviously. They might even be in trouble for getting into the Champions League, but obviously they're going to be in Europe of some form. That's what I'm trying to say. But I just don't like seeing them drop so many points this late. Something's going on. If you're a fan of Atalanta, please let us know what's happening. What's going on with your squad? You know your team's better than us. We're just watching these games. Don't get to be in the day out. So, yeah, let us know. The other thing I want to say is that after Inter dropping points, it really could have been a great chance for Napoli to not only catch up to them, but surpass them. But they end up coming up against a Bologna team that are super tough. And by the end of the match, Napoli, like I was mentioning, they were just holding on to a thread. They were just trying to get out of there with a point because Bologna were playing great. And that's the next thing I want to talk about is how Bologna has flipped that switch in the second half of the season, and they are just on a tear right now. I feel like the Champions League really did hamper them because their squad's not built to be playing games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then again on Saturday or Sunday, right? That it just wasn't built for that. And you can tell now that they have only the Serie A to play in. And I was listening to the match. They were talking about some of the stats. And this Bologna squad this year, without Thiago Motta, who obviously got sacked from Juve earlier or just a couple weeks ago, they've scored more points than them than they did all of last season already. We have 7 or whatever, however many matches left. So I don't know. As bad as I felt that Bologna were this season, they've actually done better, and they might be in the Champions League again based off of the form that they had. So that's what I saw, Vic. Anything I'm missing? I didn't even really talk about Juve that much, but I know your boy. Maybe he has something to say, but yeah, it was good times.
No, nothing about Juve. I just actually want to drill in a little bit more to the Bologna. Have been looking really impressive lately in really good form. Who is not at the top of the table still? Atalanta with 3 straight losses. They are 1 loss away from being possibly out of the Europa League spots because who do they play next? Bologna, and we'll talk about that when we do our look ahead.
That's crazy. I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
that's
they play
awesome.
Bologna next. So the way Bologna has been looking, they can probably get the dub, and if Juventus gets the dub, Atalanta's at least in the 5th spot, which would knock them out of the Champions League after the run that they had this year. Remember we were talking about them, like they were just going
incredible.
insane. Yeah. And they're starting to drop.
I can't remember the last time that Lookman scored. I can't even remember the last time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty bad downfall, and I think most of those teams that are hanging out in those Europa spots and trying to get in there can really take advantage of that because it seems like there's a spot open for the taking, and we'll see who wants it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to see how these tables, how the table shakes up. Apparently, they don't want to shake it up whenever they all play each other, but then they'll just drop points to some of the lower teams and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is all I had for Italy. Anything else from you, sir?
Got nothing. All good.
Okay. Let's all move on out to Español.
España. Let's do it. To La Liga.
Yes, España. What was I thinking?
Yeah, I was about to say.
End of Español. How about that?
I don't know how to speak Spanish, man. Don't tell me we have to start speaking Español.
Yeah, this is the Spanish version of our No Business Soccer podcast. Oh, man. Okay, well, we'll jump right into it because La Liga, there were some shock results in this table or in this match day, and I don't know if it shook up the table that much, so we'll have to find out here in just a moment. But it all kicked off on Friday when Rayo Vallecano got their ass whooped at home 4-0 thanks to Español. There you go. That's why I read the word. Español had only scored more than 2 goals in La Liga one other time this season, and what a crazy result. Rayo, they've been confusing lately. I mean, they were on a tear, and I don't know what's going on with them now. On Sunday, Alaves get an unlikely point away at Girona. Honestly, Girona made it hard on themselves by just not taking their chances in front of goal. And I'll put it this way, Vic. It was harder for them to miss some of the chances than it was for them to make them, and they found a way to lose this match. Valencia shocks the world with a 2-1 away win against Real Madrid. They walked into the Bernabeu and walked out with all 3 points, and that's what an incredible result for Valencia. I mean, that's an amazing result, and it comes at a great time as well as the bottom of the table neighbors all get 3 points as well because they could have been, I mean, you know how it is. You lose 3 points or you gain 3 points, but everybody else gains 3, you kind of stay the same, which is fine. But if you gain 3 points and everybody around you loses, that's better. What's worse is whenever you're the only one that didn't win, and that didn't happen to them. So Valencia, they're almost there, though. They're almost safe. Mallorca lost at home 2-1 to Celta, and Mallorca get their goal early, but that was where the good vibes ended for them as Celta dominated the rest of the match and headed home with all 3 points. The heavyweight match ends in a draw. Barcelona won, Real Betis won, and we'll break it down here in just a moment. On Sunday, Real Sociedad thoroughly dominated Las Palmas on the road in a 3-1 win, and they could have easily been 4 or 5 goals. With Alaves getting a win, that puts Las Palmas 4 points from safety, and that is not looking good for them. Sevilla were stunned at home in a 2-1 loss to Atleti Madrid. Sure, this was a pretty evenly played match between both teams, and it felt like Sevilla would be spurred on to get the winner, but Barrios gets one past the keeper in stoppage time, and Atleti get 3. Getafe beat the crap out of Valladolid on the road in a 4-0 win. Getafe had only scored more than 2 goals in a match once this season, kind of like Espanyol, and now it's twice thanks to the stellar team of La Liga, and that's what happens when you're Valladolid this season. Athletic Club and Villarreal go 0-0, so we don't talk about that. And then just today, Leganés and Osasuna ends 1-1. And Vic, where does that leave us in La Liga after match day 30?
Yeah, well, points are still pretty spread out up top, so it does look very familiar. Stop me if you heard it before. Barcelona are in the number 1 spot. They have 67 points, followed by Real Madrid. Again, stop me if you heard it before, with 63 points in the number 2 spot. Atletico Madrid have 60 points in the number 3 spot, and then Athletic Club, kind of a bigger gap, 6 points behind Atletico Madrid. They have 54 points, rounding out our top 4. Villarreal are tickling the top 4, as we say here, with 48 points. And also tied with them is Real Betis, like we were talking about earlier. They have 48 points as well. Kind of the on-fire team right now of La Liga. And that past draw that they just had is impressive compared to where they started this season. But if we take a look at the bottom of the table, Leganés have 28 points. They would be the first team relegated if the season ended today. They are in the 18th spot. Las Palmas are in the 19th spot with 26 points. And as you said, holy guacamole, my voli doli, still holding up the rest of the table. A solid foundation. They have 60 points, refusing to get a win, refusing to get a draw, it seems like, with another loss, 4 straight for them. And not looking very good for them. Snooze, the pretty bad week to be a home team. What did you see, or do you want to talk about the table as we have it up?
Yeah, that was crazy. That I don't even know when the last time this happened was, but Leganés were the only team left on Monday, or today. You'll see it on Tuesday. But anyway, they were the last team that were the home team, and they were trying to get that win, and they didn't happen. And this is, I don't know. We got to talk about it. It's like, how historic is this? We have to have a data guy. Do we have a data guy? No, so we don't know.
We gotta get one of those.
Hey, we just put Danny P on it. But
yeah,
either way, I don't know when the last time the table or the match day had 0 home winners. But either way, crazy stuff. The other thing I wanted to talk about in that table though was whenever you're looking at some of those teams trying to get up into those Champions League spots, you see how Villarreal have they have a 6-point gap, I think it was. But when you see they have 2 games in hand, from what I recall. And so whenever you look at that, you think, okay, maybe some of those teams above them aren't as safe. Maybe Athletic Club aren't as safe as they seem right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. And
cool.
The heavyweight match to talk about too.
Yes. That heavyweight match you're talking about is Real Betis and Barcelona. It didn't really play out exactly like we thought it would, but I think it was still a pretty tough match for both sides. Tell us a little bit more about that match, Snooze.
Yeah, the way that it played out was definitely not what I was expecting. I was hoping for kind of a lot more from Betis. Barcelona are going to be Barcelona. They're going to play how they're going to play. But Betis definitely didn't come for 3 points, and I'll break it down here. This match, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't underwhelming, but it was just kind of one-sided. And I'm talking about how Betis played, because for a team with all the momentum coming in, all the swagger coming in, I thought that they would go and kind of have a go at it. They would try to win the match because, they could. I know they could if they really tried, but they almost gave up 75% possession to Barcelona. They didn't even do that against Real Madrid when they played them a few weeks back. But I mean, if you would have told them prior to this match that you're not going to have Isco, and if you play this specific way where you basically get a goal and sit back, that you would get a point away at Barca, 100% of the time they're going to take that. Like, they'll take that 10 out of 10 times. But really, I mean, what happened was that after Barcelona, they got the first goal, and then Betis equalized 10 minutes later. They just decided that's enough. Like, we saw what they can do. We're just going to sit back, kind of absorb all the pressure, and hopefully we can get that point. And that's what happened. But I think that Barcelona will probably be the team that felt hard done by because you can check all the stats. They had more shots on target, everything. And they just couldn't find that second goal, which is crazy because typically they're the team that usually does find that second goal or that third goal, whatever goal they need to get the win. But either way, the point is fine for Barcelona because Real Madrid ended up losing. But Betis, however, with that draw, they're now pretty much primed to finish somewhere in the European competitions. And I think it's kind of up, and it's not up in the air anymore. It's kind of in pen, if you will, on stone. I don't know what's more permanent. That there will be spots of etched in stone.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah. But either way, what I'm trying to say is there's going to be 5 spots in the Prem and in La Liga. So Betis, they very well might be one of those 5 that gets into the Champions League next season. But either way, they're definitely going to be in some type of competition, and they're still in the Conference League. And we'll talk about them here in just a moment. Just what a great season for Betis. If you're a Betis fan, you probably haven't had one like this in a while. Good times.
Yeah, looking good.
Okay. Anything else, sir, before we move on?
I'm all good. Ready to travel to Germany. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I took your line. My bad. I'll take your line. Do you want to take mine?
No. Let's go to Germany.
All right. To Bundesliga. My bad.
Yes.
Producer Danny P's already getting mad because I talk so much. So he's gonna hate that I took your spot.
Right now.
I took your line.
Right now.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? All right. Well, let's jump right into it. The Bundesliga, it wasn't as entertaining as some of the other match days have been. The one match we were looking forward to was on Friday, and it was the Bavarian battle. And Augsburg fall at home to Bayern 3-1. It all started well for Augsburg as they scored first, but then they let a Musiala goal come in off of some sloppy defending, and then they went down a man early in the second half, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Kane and Olise hooked up for a goal. Sane forced an own goal, and the derby was never as fun as it promised to be, at least for the mutual. And then if you're a Bayern fan, Musiala was injured, and he walked off, and, it looked pretty bad. So he might not even be there for the rest of the season, albeit that is only like 6 or 7 more games, but still. On Saturday, the universe is against you when you miss 2 chances like Heidenheim had in the first 25 minutes and hold the second best attacking team in the Bundesliga to 0 goals in 90 minutes, and you still find a way to lose. This one ends Leverkusen 1, Heidenheim 0, and Leverkusen, with that win, they stay right on Bayern Munich's coattails. Freiburg lose to Dortmund at home 4-1, and they didn't just lose, they got bullied. And I swear I can never freaking predict what's going to happen with this Dortmund team. They're really bipolar. I don't know what's going to happen with them. They might win the Champions League still. We have no idea. And that's just Dortmund in a nutshell right now. Mainz drop points to bottom of the table, Kiel, as they end 1-1. And now the results for Mainz are starting to concern me as they've dropped points in 3 straight matches and let their gap to Leipzig in 5th place slip to just 1 single point. And I'm not sure they can hold off Leipzig for 6 more matches with just that single point between them. But what was more concerning is just how they couldn't find the winning goal against Kiel. They've been so good lately. And then, this result. So we'll find out how they end up finishing this season. Leipzig get a 3-1 win at home against the 10 men of Hoffenheim. And as I mentioned in the Mainz match, this result probably means that Leipzig are getting into the Champions League again next season. I think it's the 6th straight season. And I'm not a Leipzig hater at all. I just wanted to see another team get a crack at it because Leipzig always get in and then they always get knocked out in the group stage or the round of 16. They never really go too far. So, if they're going to do that, I wanted to see someone else. But, hey, they earned it if they get there. Stuttgart get a much-needed win over Bochum as it ends 4-0. Stuttgart fans love to see Demirovic getting a hat trick after he was brought on to replace Girassi. But let's not forget that Girassi, he scored 30 goals for them last year. And with that hat trick, Demirovic is now at 15. So he has a long way to go with not a lot of time. Eintracht Frankfurt lose on the road 2-0 to Werder Bremen. And Eintracht were poor in this match. And with that loss, the gap between them and the European contenders like Mainz, Leipzig, Gladbach is pretty much gone. They are getting caught up on. And it ends 1-1 between St. Pauli and Gladbach. And this sucks for Gladbach trying to get into that top 4, but St. Pauli outshot them 26-5, Vic. Like St. Pauli were all over their asses. That's insane. That is not what you expect and what I expected in this match. It's another day and another packed out Union Berlin home match. Those guys, Vic, we got to get out there.
Dude, it's nice.
I'm getting FOMO.
It's nice.
FOMO.
Yeah.
This time they get the reward of a 1-0 win over Wolfsburg, and the goal comes thanks to Doctor Strange himself, Vic. Benedict Hollaback. Isn't that the Doctor Strange guy? Something like that.
That's got to be it. Yeah, it's got to be the same guy.
Benedict Hollaback gets the winner for Union. And Vic, where does that leave us in the Bundesliga after match day 28?
Yes. Well, Bayern Munich still reigns supreme. They have 68 points, 1 point short of a nice 68 points with 2 straight wins. They get the number 1 spot. Bayer Leverkusen behind them with 62 points on a 3-game win streak for them. In the 3rd spot is Eintracht Frankfurt with 48 points. What a drop right there. 14 whole points from number 2 to number 3. Pretty crazy, but those top 2 have definitely earned it this year. Eintracht Frankfurt coming off a loss again in the number 3 spot with 48 points, followed by Mainz rounding out our top 4 with 46 points. And then tickling our top 4 is RB Leipzig, still trying to get into that Champions League position. As you just were talking about earlier, they have 45 points off their last win. And everyone's still fighting around those those last 2 Champions League spots and Europa League spots. It's getting pretty interesting there. Where it's not interesting is at the bottom, because boy, oh boy, Bochum would be the first team relegated if the season ends today. They're in the 17th spot. They just got beat 4-0, I think is what you said. But it was insane. They're on a 3-game losing streak, trying to take over the 18th spot, apparently, from Holstein Kiel. Holstein Kiel have 18 points, holding up the rest of the table. A solid foundation, as we say. And they did get 1 point this past weekend, but not looking good. Hey. Not too good for them. But still trying to fight out of there. Anything in the I was almost saying anything in the snooze you want to look at, but anything in the table you want to look at? Snooze.
I think we'll just combine what I wanted to talk about, and we'll just do it while we're looking at the table, because it'll kind of make more sense to the audience here. Because what I was talking about with Eintracht Frankfurt is they, if you can see, they've lost 4 games of the last 6, and they had a pretty big gap. If I remember correctly, it was like 8 or 9 points at one point between them and Mainz, and so it's kind of like we were saying. It's locked up, right? They have the top 3. They're not going anywhere. But look at that now. From Gladbach to Eintracht Frankfurt, it's 4 points. I mean, 6 points to Freiburg, right? And we still have, 7 matches left? 6 matches left, something like that. So, the way that Eintracht are playing, Frankfurt, whichever one. If you know this team, let us know. Is it Eintracht or is it Frankfurt? But either way, if they still are in they're still in the Europa League against Spurs actually on Thursday, and they're going to be distracted. They still have a lot of games left to play, and they're dropping points all the time in the Bundesliga. I don't know how it's going to end up for them, but it just seems like they were destined to make it in the Champions League, and now. I mean, we might be seeing something crazy. We might see like Mainz and Gladbach in the Champions League. So we'll have to find out. But either way, that's what I wanted to call out on that. And then if you think about where Leverkusen, yes, Bayern did get the win too. But Leverkusen, something's going on, man. This is the only competition they're in now. And they're not dropping points, but they're taking the hard way to get 3 points, I guess is the best way to put it, against teams that they should be putting to bed pretty early. But man, it's just crazy to see. And I think obviously they don't have Florian Wirtz for a while. And so maybe that is the reason, but it can't run through one guy. Like that can't be the only reason why your team doesn't run and why you're starting to struggle against some of these lower level teams in the Bundesliga. That's crazy to me. I can't believe that it's just, he's had such a tremendous impact on them as far as leaving the team, and they're kind of just struggling now. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, even though they're on a 3-game win streak, we still see you, Leverkusen. You're struggling.
Yes, but you're right. I'm talking mess about them, and they're like they're winning all these games. They're winning them the hard way though. That's the problem. That they would tell me that they won the league the hard way last season. They were called Leverkusen for a reason, but it's just weird. It's just weird. And what happens when they play someone? I don't know what their schedule looks like, but if they play a harder team. We'll find out, but there's 6 more matches left to go, Vic. 6 more. That's it. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Okay. And I think that is it, though. Let's take a look at one more league. Oh, wow. We're flying through this. Look at us. Wow. We're doing great today.
Which league would that be?
I know. Let's go to England, sir.
Let's do it to the Prem.
and fish and chips. And I know that Danny P is excited because he is like 6 or 7 matches away from Everton being at a new stadium, a brand new stadium. And we'll have to go. We got to go. 100% got to go. And the reason why I'm bringing them up,
y'all can
go ahead. What do you say?
Oh, y'all can go there. Yeah, I'll go across the street. Well, further now. I mean, they'll be gone. They'll be a little bit further now.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. But I'm bringing that up because the Premier League got started on Saturday morning as Everton and Arsenal split the points in a 1-1 draw. Arsenal looked like a team that has their eyes firmly on their Champions League match with Real Madrid. They're not even trying anymore in the Prem, and why would you? That's such a big gap. Ipswich. They were so close to making the relegation battle interesting, but they lose to Wolves 2-1, and that will do it. That result essentially seals the deal on Ipswich going down to the championship after this season because Wolves are the team that were directly above them in the table, as you'll see in just a moment. Crystal Palace and Brighton put on a hell of a show, and it ends 2-1 to Palace. This match ends with Palace down to 9 men and Brighton down to 10 men, and just when we thought we had Brighton all figured out, they start dropping points again. The Hammers and the Cherries in 2-2, and the way Bournemouth has been playing recently, you would have hoped Graham Potter's side could get all 3 points, but Evan Nielsen's late goal and brace are enough to split the points. Villa get a crucial 2-1 win over Forest, and we'll talk about this one more here in a second. And on Sunday, Spurs were able to get the 3-1 win over Southampton and go into Thursday's quarterfinal with a bit of momentum. And Southampton made history, Vic. They made history in the Prem, as they're now the earliest team to ever be relegated from the Premier League with 7 matches to spare. Not the right kind of history you want to be making. Chelsea and Brentford finished 0-0. Don't talk about those. Fulham get a 3-2 home win over Liverpool, and what a result it was for Fulham. Liverpool don't typically concede this many goals, and the second one was due to a sloppy play from A-Rob. And the third, I'm sorry, Vic, I got to say it, Virgil van Dijk just got out-muscled by Muniz, which is just weird. The things that we're not used to seeing, but nothing matters. Liverpool winning the league. Fulham, they inch closer to Europe. Probably not going to get there. And we'll hear what you have to say about that match in just a moment. The Manchester Derby ends 0-0 and was really boring and really uneventful. And Newcastle gets a 3-0 road win over Leicester. Vic, before we go to the table, you want to talk some more about that Liverpool loss?
No, they just Fulham wanted it more, and that out muscled, having a good firm shove directly in your spine. That's the way you out muscle somebody, I guess. So I guess
it wasn't
okay. We'll let them have it. We'll let them have it. It's just a matter of time. It's okay.
It was just weird. I'm just not used to seeing the defense for Liverpool look like that. Maybe a foul, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But either way, it was just weird.
I think the 3 gols in the first half was the first time it happened in like 60 years or something. I don't know. It was pretty crazy. But we got a little manhandled in front in the beginning.
A little complacent, but also they're just waiting for the end of the season because who cares? They're not going to lose the gap to Arsenal.
That is right.
Is that why? Is that what's happening? They're like, hey,
I think so. It's got to be like
only trophy they can
75% complacency. Yeah. It's got to be that because you got these teams, and a Slot is kind of known for this. Like he only subs like 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left, 10 minutes left. So all these teams, all these players have been playing with each other the entire time. But playing the same exact roster every single day, and they're tired. They've got it wrapped up for the most part. The only thing separating them and a national championship is time. It's going to happen, and I think everybody's just kind of cruising in, or have like just senioritis, just clocking it in and just saying whatever.
Very true.
Where they are already. Yeah. So,
and it probably would have been a bigger talking point had Arsenal won, but they're distracted with the Champions League, so it is all good. It's all good. Okay. Well, tell us what the table looks like, because I doubt that anything changed too much with that loss.
A couple things changed around the Europa spots. We will talk about that. But like you said, top 4, bad week to be top 4, and all of them are dropping points, starting with Liverpool, who got the loss, obviously, like you said, where they have 73 points still on top, a clear 11 points ahead of Arsenal, who got a draw, only picked up 1 point this past weekend. They have 62 points. 5 points behind them is Nottingham Forest with 57 points. They also got a loss. And then rounding out our top 4 is Chelsea, who got a draw, and they have 53 points in the number 4 spot. And then what that means is Newcastle United just got a win. They have 53 points, and they have the 5th spot. And what does that mean, Snooze? It means Manchester City does not have a European match as of right now. We'll probably get another Europa League spot, but Manchester City not in any European competition going into next year, which would be insane to see because they have 52 points behind Newcastle United, who have 53 points. Crazy to see. Crazy to see them not up there. But what's not crazy to see is Ipswich Town, who have 20 points in the 18th spot. I would say that they would be the first team relegated if the season ends today, but we already have one of those, and we'll get to them.
It did end today for someone.
Yeah, exactly. Leicester City in the 19th spot. They're still trying to fight, although they are doing their best to stay down there with 6 straight losses at least. That's what you can see on the table. Leicester City have 17 points in the 19th spot. And then our history makers, Southampton, the first team relegated again, the earliest in Premier League history with 7 games left. They have barely double digits, 10 points. We barely gave them their badge back. And yeah, sayonara, Southampton. I was trying to say that in shorts. If you happen to catch a short, I was
going to say, hey, you said it.
Yeah, I tried to say that so bad. I did so many takes. You guys don't know, but yeah, sayonara, Southampton. Y'all have a good time back in the championship. And yeah. Anything you want to call out on the table before we move on? I know we talked a little bit about it already, but
I don't have anything specific to this, but what I do want to say, just look at the table for a moment. The way that the UEFA coefficients work, where it's like the teams, how they do in the European competitions and where they finish and blah, blah, blah. Italy got the 5th place last year, and so did La Liga. That's why Girona and Bologna got into the Champions League. But this coming year, I think it's La Liga again, but I think the Prem is also there taking over for the Italians because they lost all in the round of 16, I believe it was. And so anyway, what all that means is that we could be looking at like definitely the top 8 places will be European because it'll be 5 in the Champions League. I mean, it's not official yet, so obviously we're just going by what we're expecting, but 5 in the Champions League, and then the Europa League is that 6th spot, and then the Conference League is a 7th spot. But the reason why I said it could be 8 is because Arsenal, Aston Villa, Spurs, Manchester United, they're all in UEFA competition still. So if any one of them win it, they automatically will get into the Champions League, except for Chelsea, who are in the Conference League, which they would go into the Europa League. But anyway, that's why I didn't say them. But it pushes that down. So it could be like the top 9 teams get into Europe somehow, which is just insane. Yeah, if they have like, if we see Villa or Arsenal win the Champions League, then they automatically get back in, especially Villa because they're not in there right now. And then if Spurs or Manchester United win the Europa League, they would also be getting in the Champions League. It's just insane. I know it's a lot to think about right now, but just know that it's very plausible. I don't want to say plausible. It's possible that the top 8 gets into Europe next season. So
that would be that would be just our luck if Manchester City finishes like 7 or 8, and they're like, yeah, the top 8 fucking go to our freaking sorry. Bleep that out, but yeah.
It would be real bad because I know that no one, like, it's fun whenever you have a small team in Europe and then you end up playing a big team. It's like, oh, this is cool. We're gonna get our butts kicked, But when you see Manchester City in the Conference League, like, that's not fair, dude. Just go away. Like, and they probably don't even want that. Why would they want to go through the rigmarole of getting a Conference League trophy? That's just dumb. It's almost like disrespectful to them. They're like, why did we ever do that? So anyway, that's all I wanted to call out there.
All right. Well, the match we were all watching this past weekend was Nottingham Forest and Villa, right? I think that was Villa. Yeah.
Yes.
We were watching Aston Villa. And tell us a little bit more about that match that they had this past weekend.
Yes, the match was definitely different than what I thought. Mainly because Aston Villa, they're just a team. They're just dudes right now, really good. And they get 2 early goals, and they were enough to see out the 2-1 win. And this was actually a great back and forth match between these two, vying for Champions League places. But what really shined through for me was Villa and the quality that they have and the depth that they have. We know that they went out and got Rashford, Daniel Malin. They got I can't remember the other guy's name from Spain. But either way, they got so many people coming in, and they're really ramping up this squad. And what it showed me is that not only are they ramping up the squad to be a contender in the Champions League places in the Prem, but they're like ramping up that squad to be a contender in Europe year after year. And it was just really cool to see. For Forest, they had plenty of chances to get a goal and to get a point from this match, but they just lacked the finishing touch that they usually have, which is pretty crazy to see. The interesting part, though, I'm not sure if you saw the highlight. I don't know if it's a highlight, but Emi Martinez, he's like catches the ball and he's running out of his box and he kind of gets into like a pushing match with I think it's Jota Silva. I can't remember.
Yeah,
they're just like pushing each other and like had to stop the match. Like, what? Dude's a menace. He's just crazy. He wants to get into fights. Overall, I think that Villa, they're just very good and they're better than what I expected, and they're starting to show that domestically. And then they also take on PSG here in just a moment. We'll talk about that. And let's not forget that they still have a chance to win the Champions League. Okay, we're all writing them off, but they could win it still. Forest will be fine. City drew, Chelsea drew. They didn't really lose much ground with that loss, so it's all good in the hood for Forest. And that's what I saw in that match, Vic. Anything that you want to call out for the Prem this week? Liverpool, they're going to lose again or what?
No. I think it was just really weird to be cheering on Manchester United this past weekend because, just the hate I have for City is crazy. But nothing really. It was kind of not a very loud weekend for the Premier League. It was kind of except for the top four, I'll drop in points, obviously. But, they're kind of set. Once you get to Europa Leagues, maybe not. But
I'm telling you, it's kind of like the boring league right now. Everything is known except for those the Champions League spots. So we'll find out. Okay. Right. I think that's it. Here you go. Our chat's going off over here. You're freaking me out. What are we doing?
I was masterfully multitasking. I don't even know if the audience could tell. I was talking to our Danny P in the back because I was having some recording error. No, that was
no.
It seemed to be okay. Yeah, it seems to be
okay. Wow. All right, you freaked me out. I kept hearing bing, bing, bing. I'm like, oh crap! Sorry. Can they not hear me right now? Okay, it's all good. Well, then let's do this. Let's move on then to our last segment of the day, and we'll be taking a look at the UEFA competitions. The look ahead. And Vic, it's time of the year, man. We got the end of all these seasons for these domestic, what do you want to call them, leagues, I guess. And then we also have the UEFA competitions, the quarterfinals going on. I think the national championship for the men's basketball tournament is on right now. We got baseball, hockey. I mean, we got so much going on. What a great time to be alive. And so let's break this down. We'll start off in the Conference League. Wait, what is the score on that, by the way, for anybody? Well, actually, would that be like a bad thing? You're like, what if they're watching this and they're like waiting to see that score?
No, because it was last night.
Oh, that's true.
By the time they see it, yeah.
Tell me. No, we got a Texas team up in there.
It's 10-14 right now. Houston's
up 14. Just started.
Yeah, I think it just started. Yeah, it started 7:30-ish, whatever. I don't know.
They aren't scoring.
Yeah, I will say that I actually picked Florida to win in the one league that I did, the one bracket that I did.
Nice.
And if they win, I win the bracket, which is pretty crazy because I literally just clicked. I don't know who I picked at all until the end. Yeah.
That's hilarious. My wife did one for the first time last year, and it's pretty much, she was like strong armed, like, it's just $20. We need someone. And so she just did it. And she auto picked all the winners, and then she ended up winning the league last year. And so I was like dead last in our bracket. And so I was like, man, I'm gonna need some pointers from you. And she's like, yeah, I mean, I just win them whenever.
So, maybe that's the trick. Just pick. Doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll say all the one seeds got into the Final Four.
Yeah, for men and women, right?
Was it? That's great.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. I was gonna say sorry for everybody who saw the graphic that said UEFA competitions and we started talking about men's college basketball. Sorry.
I know. Hey, I was just talking about how good. If you're a sports fan, it's a good time to be alive.
It's a good time. Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay. We'll move into it. Let's start with the Conference League. And in the Conference League, we have the quarterfinals. We have Chelsea versus Legia Warsaw, which whenever I see Spurs, because we typically don't make the Champions League, but whenever I see Spurs in a Conference League, Europa League, whatever, and I see Legia Warsaw, it's always just a bad time. That's just a tough team to beat. We'll see if they're tough to beat for Chelsea. They seem like they're pretty set on getting this the championship for this Conference League. We also had Rapid Vienna versus Djurgården, and couldn't tell you much about those teams. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll watch this match on what is this Thursday at 2 p.m. if you're interested, and I'll see where they go. But one match I am interested is our Fiorentina versus Celje, and we will see how that goes. Fiorentina, they have actually been on a pretty good tear recently. Not as good as they were early in the season, but they should be able to get this one done. And then, of course, we get Real Betis versus my boy Jags Bielstock. They are a team, and Real Betis will probably get it done because they have the GOAT, and his name is Anthony. Okay. Vic, I'm sure there's nothing you want to talk about on that one, but I'm going to ask anyway, just in case.
Pass. No.
All right.
No, nothing really. Let's go Real Betis.
Move on to the
GOAT.
Move to the Europa League then. And in the Europa League, we have Lazio versus Bodo Glimt, and our Lazio have I don't want to say it's an easy way to get through because that's disrespectful, but that'd be pretty cool to see them get through. How about that? Then we have Rangers versus Athletic Club, and that one should be hype. Any matches that happen in Scotland are always fun, and it's cool to see it happen this way. And Athletic Club, they're trying to get there, Vic, because the Europa League final is at their stadium this year, so they're definitely trying to get there. Lyon are going against Manchester United, and Lyon have all types of trouble going on. I believe it's a bunch of financial issues, stuff like that. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong team, but if I remember correctly, they do have some issues, and Manchester United have issues of their own. So we'll see the battle of the dysfunction. And then we go to Tottenham versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Spurs getting Eintracht at home to start off this leg, or start off this series, whatever you want to call it. But either way, Spurs come in off a win. Eintracht lose 2-0 last time out. We just talked about it. And man, honestly, both teams are struggling. I'm going for Spurs, but I have a feeling that we're going to see Ekitike, who's been decent but not great, and he's going to have a hat trick or something, or he's just going to go off, because that's how it happens. We give up the goals to the best guys on the other team, and we'll see how that turns out. But either way, it should be a fun one. The Europa League has some fun matches in it. But Vic, before we move on, any of these matches you want to call out?
No, I want to look up Bodo Glimt. I want to see their stadium. They don't even have a badge on Google. I want to see what's going on.
I know. What's going on? What is up with this?
So I'm gonna research that after that. I was gonna do it while you were talking, but I don't know if you can hear me typing stuff. But
no, you're good.
I do want to look it up.
You got this. And then let's move on to the main event, the Champions League quarterfinals. We have, starting off, Bayern versus Inter, and that is tomorrow or today if you're watching this. And Bayern versus Inter is going to be interesting because, Bayern are just devastated with injuries right now. Jamal Musiala went out again. He went out again this weekend. I keep saying again. He didn't get hurt again. He just got hurt one time, guys. But the reason why I'm saying is again, because they keep having players that get hurt again. We have a defense that is just made up by piece parts, and they continue to find ways to win, at least in the Bundesliga. But does that work against the table toppers Inter? We will find out. This one's going to be interesting. I'm pretty excited to watch how this plays, because I fully expect it to be Bayern get a goal, and then we think they're going to win, and then Inter come back and end up winning the whole series right there. But I don't know. I'm going for Kane. Obviously, I want Harry Kane to do something. Musiala, I have no idea how this team's going to be creating, because Harry Kane can't do it all. And Michael Olise has been great coming over for Palace. He's looking amazing. So maybe that's who steps up. I think this is Thomas Muller's last year with Bayern. Be pretty cool to see him get a Champions League with them one more time before he goes out. Vic, who you got in this one?
I'm going to go Bayern, man. Bayern just look so impressive. Okay. I don't know what it is. They've just looked so impressive. I know Inter has too, but just the way they're pulling away. Bayern was pulling away there a little earlier in the season. It's going to be hard to stop them. And, who knows? We'll just see. I go Bayern. Let's just do 2-1. I think 2-1.
2-1? I can do that. I can get behind that. And it's in Munich the first leg too. So, that place will be popping. I'm going for Bayern too. Obviously, going for Bayern. And then the other game tomorrow, the other game on Tuesday, let's just put it that way, is Arsenal versus Real Madrid at the Emirates. And man, I don't know how Arsenal can get by in this one. I don't see a way they can, because Real Madrid, they're just too strong. I think they're too good for them. But then we say that, and then they end up dropping points to Valencia. So, maybe that's not the best result for them. But either way, Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo. I think it's too strong of a front for Arsenal to hold back, and I can see it being like a 3-1 away win for Real Madrid. And then Arsenal make me look stupid, but I'm sticking with it. 3-1 Real Madrid.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. If 1-0, 2-0, I just want something like that because, I'm just going to be straight up. I'm a hater. I don't like Arsenal. I don't. I want Arsenal to because they're not putting their best foot forward in the Premier League. So I want them to put their best foot forward in the Champions League and still lose, not even score a goal. That's what I want.
You're like, all right, cool. Let's let's see you try and still lose. How about that?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, as a Spurs fan here, I am perfectly fine with that. So I am a hater too. I was just trying to hide my hate a little bit. Vic said, pulled it out. That's weird. All right. Let's move on to our Wednesday matches. We have Barcelona versus Dortmund. And this one, not to be me, not to be rude, not to be a hater, but Dortmund, there's no way they can get past Barcelona. Is there? No way.
I don't know. They're so unpredictable lately. Who knows? They might beat them like 6-0. We have no idea. No idea.
I can see Barcelona.
They have no idea.
This one.
Yeah.
First match is in Barcelona as well. So
we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. But if I had to put money on it, I would have Barcelona probably like 3-1 or something like that.
Of course. And then the one that I'm very, very interested, probably the most excited to watch, is PSG versus Aston Villa, because Aston Villa have turned it on, and all of their signings they brought in January were for this moment, were for the Champions League, and now it's time to show it, to put the pen to paper and get it done. And they are starting off on the road in Paris against PSG, who just took care of, sorry, Vic, your boys, Liverpool, who, for my money, was going to be the Champions League champion. They were going to be the winner of the Champions League, and they just put them to the sword. So, man, I'm interested in seeing how this one turns out, Vic. And if I was putting money on it, I'd probably put like a 1-0 win to PSG because they're in Paris. But as far as the full like both legs, I don't know. I assume PSG, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with PSG too, just because, they beat Liverpool. Like, they're obviously the best team ever. So they're going to win the champion. They're going to win the whole Champions League, PSG. And we can at least say we lost to the champions.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, that is it for this episode of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Vic, take us home, sir.
Well, thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us and talking about some European football. Of course, follow us on all of our social medias. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast, or as you can see scrolling down there on X and on TikTok, it's at No Biz Soc Pod. No Business Soccer Podcast was way too long. Again, hey, everyone, enjoy the UEFA competitions this midweek, and we will talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.